Unacademy. Let's crack it.
Let's start. So this session is on the note-making strategy for UPSC, presented by yours truly, me, Asad Zuberi, who has secured All India rank of 86 in UPSC Civil Service Examination 2022. So as I am a fan of a lot of TV shows and movies, etc., so I've used this opportunity to make this session a friends theme session, so that it's not that boring also, और इससे आपको कुछ सीखने को भी मिल जाए. So anyone who is a Friends fan, can you give me a hand in the chat so that I feel कि मैंने ठीक किया Friends को use करके as the theme to this video. Anyone who's a Friends fan can give me a hand there. Thanks a lot. Okay. So Joey is sitting, and this is like before the session you're going to be the left Joey, and after the session you're going to be the right Joey, because आपको काफी insights मिलने वाले हैं about notes कैसे बनाते हैं, and आपके notes किस तरह से आपको help कर सकते हैं, and they can help you to decrease your anxiety, they can help you to stick to your syllabus, they can help you to keep your content very short and crisp, etc. So हम इसके बारे में बात करने वाले हैं. तो I hope it's going to be an eye-opening session. Good afternoon, Sarvat. Big fan of Friends. Even I am a big fan of Friends. I've watched it more than 3 times. So this is session now. Like Joey is so surprised after this session. I hope you will be as surprised after this session too, of how note making can help you in this exam a lot. Moving ahead, what is the agenda of this session? It's not going to be the unagi of Ross, but it's going to be something more than that. So I will be starting with me in a nutshell for those who are joining this session for the first time. मैं अपने बारे में कुछ बताऊंगा आपको कि मैं कौन हूँ, मैं कहाँ से आया हूँ, मेरा बैकग्राउंड क्या है, मेरे यूपीएससी में रैंक कितनी है, मेरी सर्विस कौन सी मिल सकती है, एंड उसके बाद आई विल स्ट्रेट अप जंप टू द बेसिक टॉपिक कि नोट्स क्यों बनाना चाहिए. सो द फर्स्ट वन इज व्हाई वन शुड मेक नोट्स. क्योंकि आप इतना बड़ा 1 घंटे का क्लास में या 1.5 घंटे का क्लास आप अटेंड करोगे ऑन हाउ टू मेक नोट्स, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि नोट मेकिंग यूपीएससी के लिए क्यों उतनी रेलिवेंट है. that I am making a whole different session on it, because मैं जिस session में भी आ रहा था, whichever session I was in, if anyone has a problem with Hindi, please list it down in the box, in the chat box, so I will stick to more of English in this. Anyway, so क्यों इस नोट्स बनाने चाहिए, ऐसा हम लोग अभी स्टार्ट करने वाले हैं इस टॉपिक से. मूविंग अहेड हम लोग देखेंगे ऑफ व्हेन टू स्टार्ट मेकिंग नोट्स. क्या हमें डे 1 से नोट्स बनाना चाहिए, क्या हमें 1 रीडिंग के बाद नोट्स बनाने चाहिए, क्या हमें 2 रीडिंग के बाद नोट्स बनाने चाहिए, और कि नोट्स बनाने के लिए क्या स्ट्रैटेजी होगी, कब हमें नोट मेकिंग स्टार्ट करना चाहिए. द नेक्स्ट वन विल बी हाउ टू मेक नोट्स. नोट मेकिंग की कुछ टेक्निक्स जो मैंने यूज करी थी वो मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा, विच रियली हेल्प मी टू मेक माई नोट्स मोर ऑर्गेनिक, टू मेक माई नोट्स, जो कि मैं चेंज कर पाया थ्रू आउट द प्रिपरेशन. बिकॉज कई बार ऐसा होने वाला है कि डे 1 को आप जो नोट्स बनाएंगे वो 1 साल के बाद आपको लगे कि ये तो बहुत एलिमेंट्री नोट्स है, दे आर नॉट एज गुड, तो आप उन नोट्स पे ऐड ऑन करते जाएंगे. ठीक है. नो नोट्स आर एक्चुअली 1 पॉइंट सोल्यूशन टू योर प्रिपरेशन. आप जब नोट्स बनाएंगे अपनी प्रिपरेशन के साथ उसको डेवलप करेंगे रिलेटेड, डिपेंडिंग ऑन आप क्या. Okay, so I'll stick more to English. So when you're making notes, when you're making notes, you have to be very careful about that. What are the strategies you're using to make notes. Are you making it on online notes? Are you making offline notes? Are you sticking to certain kind of A4 size pages? Are you sticking to notebooks? So sometimes someone may think that this is irrelevant, but for me it really helped me. So I would not say that whatever I'm going to deliver today it's the 1 point solution to note making, but I would just say you can always get something out of it which will help you to make better notes yourself, because notes are not something that you can take from anyone else and use them as effectively. Notes are something that you make yourself and then you use your own notes. So it's a very subjective process. So you will ultimately develop your own strategy to make notes. But through this session, I'm going to talk about what strategy I have used. I'm not saying that this strategy is the only best strategy. You can make your own subjective strategy. However, I just hope that through this session, you'll get some points out of it so that you can actually help yourself build your own strategy of note making. Towards the end, I'm going to talk about the type of notes and how to make different types of notes, like online notes, like offline notes, like group notes, etc. And I'm going to attach a lot of examples and scan copies from my own notes. So let's start with the famous Unagi. I'm going to jump right into the PPT now. So yeah. So me in a nutshell, as I said, as I told you, I'll just introduce myself briefly for those who have just joined this session. That my name is Asad Zuberi, and I come from a city of Aligarh in Uttar Pradesh, and I have secured an All India rank of 86 in UPSC Civil Services examination. This was my third attempt at this exam, and this was my second interview. So I've cleared two prelims out of three I have attempted. The first one was not a serious attempt; only two attempts were my serious attempts. So I was fortunate enough to clear prelims in both the attempts. I have cleared both the mains. I gave interview in 2021 attempt, but unfortunately could not get into the list. And this year, fortunately, I am in the list with a rank of 86. My first preference is Indian Foreign Services, and though the service preference is not out yet, I really hope that I get into that service. So this was me in a nutshell. I love singing. I love playing guitar. I love watching TV shows. I love reading. These are some of my hobbies. So I'm going to be presenting this PPT on note making to you guys today. So the very first question that I'm going to talk about to you is, why is note making important? Note making important क्यों है? All right. Why is it so important to make notes? Can we go without making notes? Can we just read the basic books and start answering the questions in prelims? Can we just read the basic sources, and can we start writing good answers loaded with the value added content, diagrams, maps, example, etc.? Is it possible? If it's possible, it's really nice for you. But I just want to share that for me, it was not possible to uh, to go through this process without making notes. So there's some pointers I have listed down of why note making is so important. The very first one is, it helps you to consolidate your content. आपके content को एक जगह पे ये रखने के लिए काम आता है. That is, if you are writing a lot of answers, those answers, the data will be sourced from your content, from your own notes. It's not possible to recall everything so quickly and write it very effectively in the final exam right from the book, because books are so thick, and the number of books keeps on increasing with the subjects. So if you keep relying only on the basic sources, I just feel like कि आप उतना अच्छा मतलब reproduce नहीं कर पाएंगे अपनी कॉपी में, because in mains you do not have time to think or recall from the book. But if you have certain notes in which all the content is consolidated at one place, and if you read those notes a lot of times, it's going to help you to recall effectively and further write it in your answer sheet. So very first point that I think is very important in note making is consolidation of content. The second one I want to talk about is one point solution for revision. So आपने देखा होगा कि बहुत लोग बोलते हैं कि IAS का exam is all about repeating, revising, consistently revising. And if you just stick to your basic books, like all the books that you are reading, if you're not making notes, it will become a very tough task for you to revise that content. Okay, it will become a very tough task for you to revise that content again and again. And if you're not revising effectively, it will make life really tough for you to be able to replicate that content in the examination hall. So if you have very crisp notes, if you have very descriptive notes, it is always going to help you for revision. So this is the second point that I want to talk about, that it's like a one point solution to just give me 1 second. I'll be back. I'm sorry for the hiccup. So it's going to be a one point solution for revision for you. So that was the second point I want to talk about. The third one, it actually builds up your confidence. It makes you confident. I'm sorry, there's a mistake in PPT. It builds up your confidence for D-Day. So it happens a lot of time that we see in the exam, questions are being asked from several sources. Okay, and even the GS papers, the questions are not divided in as per subjects. It's just a list of 20 questions. So your brain going from one subject to another subject, from one topic to another topic, it will become really tough to recall everything effectively if you're not making notes. Recalling from your basic books becomes a very tough task. I have tried that in my first attempt, but I have failed. So I just want to say that please make your notes, because it is going to build up your confidence for D-Day, that you have your content ready. You have read your content more than 5, 10 times. You can recall and write anything and everything you want. Okay, you will have this confidence that you have covered the entire syllabus from dot to dot, and you have covered that according to your notes. So this is going to really help you. Moving ahead, uh, what another point that I want to make is that writing helps in remembering also. Okay, writing helps in remembering, because in UPSC a lot of content, you are just filled with a lot of content, and it's not possible humanly to remember all of that content so effectively. So how note making is going to help you? You're going to write everything again and again in your notes. You're going to write the keywords, you're going to revise, you're going to draw these diagrams. So once the mind to hand connections become strong, that you're finally writing everything down, you start learning stuff better. So that means writing helps in remembering. What I mean to say is that making notes will also help you remembering your content, so that you can easily recall it and reproduce it in your class. Okay. I'm going to take Amol. I'm going to take the questions towards the end. You can list them down right now. You can also list them down in the doubt section, so that all the questions are actually listed in the doubts. So I'm going to take this. I have a lot of time in this class to answer queries. So it's going to build your confidence. It's going to help you remember everything, because remembering is extremely important. You cannot just reproduce your content without remembering it well. Moving ahead, what else it helps in? It organizes your thought and content as per the demand of this exam. So what happens is, if you're just reading the basic books, if you're just reading the loose sources, you don't know the syllabus from where this, so you don't actually know how to connect this book to the syllabus of UPSC, how to connect this book to the previous year questions. But if you're making your notes according to the syllabus, if you're making your notes as per the previous year questions, you will realize that this will organize your thoughts and your content in a form that you can reproduce when you go to the exam. Because now the connection of your book content to your notes, to your previous year questions, to the final question paper that you're going to attempt, will become very strong and substantial. Okay. Nandita, I'm going to answer all these questions today in this PPT itself. Please let me complete the session. Moving ahead, it keeps you close to the UPSC syllabus that I've already talked about. That it helps in consolidating your content in a way that it is according to the UPSC syllabus. So I think I've made a very good case of why note making is so important and why did I resort to note making. Moving ahead, I will just start with what are the basics of note making. What are the basics of note making that I have followed throughout the subjects, from prelims to mains to interview, from general studies to essay to GS4 to my optional subject. So there are some basics of note making for UPSC that I personally followed, and I just feel like this is something that is also going to help you. ये आपको बहुत हेल्प करेगा जो मैं अभी बेसिक्स बताने वाला हूं, क्योंकि ये बेसिक्स मैंने थ्रू आउट अप्लाई करे हैं, फ्रॉम प्रीलिम्स से लेकर मेंस से लेकर इंटरव्यू, और अलग अलग सब्जेक्ट में भी अप्लाई करें. ठीक है. तो व्हाट आर बेसिक्स ऑफ नोट मेकिंग? मैंने आई यूज A4 साइज शीट्स clipped on a file to make notes. So I did not make my notes in a proper book or a proper notebook, because I kept on editing my notes over and over again. So if you're using the A4 size loose sheets, very first thing, it will be very economical for you. Okay, you do not have to buy good quality notebooks to make notes. You can just buy the rim of A4 sheets and you can start making notes on it. Secondly, A4 size sheets are not lined and they are actually plain sheets. So it's going to help you adjust your handwriting according to the UPSC answer booklets, because UPSC answer booklets do not have lined ruled pages. It also has blank pages. And thirdly, these kind of notes are going to help you to edit these notes. You can remove a page, you can add a page whenever and wherever you want to. So your notes will become more neat and more organic. The second point is write about the content or notes on page 1 to save time later. So this is a practice that I have followed, that in any notebook that I was making notes on, I was writing on the very first page, what are these notes about? What are topics covered in these notes? I even used to put page number and put those page number in the contents on the very first page. Because moving ahead, you are going to have a lot of content in a single note file. and to be able to navigate better and to save your time in the future, and even when the exam day is near, it's going to help you if you make your own content on the very first page of notes. If you know which page to go on to read social justice, which page to go on to read international relations, etc. So this is the second basic that I followed. The third one, make crisp notes and use personalized short forms. As Chandler Bing is saying that you have to make very crisp notes, that your notes are going to be extremely crisp. You do not write repetitive content in your notes. You can form your own short forms, you can form your own mnemonics, you can form your own small diagrams. See, ये notes आपके लिए हैं, ठीक है? इन notes को आपको किसी और को देना नहीं है यूज करने के लिए, ये आपके यूज आने वाले हैं. So अगर ये सिर्फ आपको समझ में आते हैं इस दुनिया में, कोई इशू नहीं है, ठीक है? So these notes should be something that only you can use. I'm not saying that you are making it inaccessible to anyone, but if you're making these notes crisp, and if you're using very personalized short forms, then these notes are going to really help you to cover anything and everything in very short amount of time. And I'm going to give you very descriptive examples of what are the crisp notes that I'm talking about, and how I made these notes myself in a way that only I can understand it, and I'll put in a less amount of effort to actually make them in the very first place. The next point is use mnemonics to make your notes easier to learn. So I am someone who had a very tough time learning the notes, because learning is something which is very taxing for me. So what I did is I started using mnemonics. I hope you know what is mnemonics. For example, if I am using Pastille as a mnemonic, then it will have political, economic, social, technological, environmental, etc. So use these kind of mnemonics in your notes so that it becomes easier to revise these notes as you go ahead in this exam. Because when you're sitting in the mains exam, to it's not easy to recall your notes so well. But if you have certain mnemonics, अगर आपके पास ऐसे tricks हैं, learning tricks हैं, आपके पास कुछ ऐसे mnemonics हैं जिसको आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, is going to help you a lot. So this is my next point, that you please use your mnemonics. It is going to help you to remember and recall everything in your mains and prelims exam. The next one, collect diagrams, data, etc. exhaustively in your notes. So इसका मतलब क्या है कि sometimes it happens that we think that we'll put our data in a separate note, we'll put our diagrams in a separate note. But if you are actually separating your notes as per topics into multiple copies or multiple sources, you're going to have a very tough time to relate and recall all these sources. So एक टॉपिक का डायग्राम्स, डेटा, एवरीथिंग उसी टॉपिक की जगह होना चाहिए. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर मैं बात करूं एग्रीकल्चर टॉपिक की, जैसे मैं अभी आपको बहुत सारे एग्जांपल्स में दिखाऊंगा कुछ अपकमिंग स्लाइड्स में. अगर मैं बात करूं इस टाइप के टॉपिक्स की, तो आपको देखने में पता लगेगा कि आप डायग्राम्स, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न हो गया, ठीक है? So now you can actually draw these diagrams at the same place where you're making the static notes of it. So this will help you to recall according to the topic when the question comes of it. If you're putting your data, if you're putting your reports, if you're putting your examples, if you're putting your diagrams in a separate notebook and not in the same place where you're writing a topic, this will make your life difficult to recall when you're writing the mains exam. And recalling and reproducing is one of the basic and the most important habit that you'll have to follow to be able to write a good answer. Okay, moving ahead, I also used to use stick-on papers to make my notes organic. So what are organic notes? I keep on repeating this in several sessions that I take, that my notes are very organic. So what are organic notes? I'm glad I have the electricity back. So what are organic notes? Organic notes are something that keep on growing with your preparation. So it's not like just in the first reading I'm making some notes and those notes are my final notes till my prelims or mains. It's not like that. If you're making a notes organic, if you're making your notes something that grows with your preparation, if you keep adding all the new sources that you learned, all the new example, case studies, all the new diagrams that you're learning on the same place in the same topic, not separately, your notes become more organic. I have a lot of examples coming ahead in the PPT to show what exactly I mean by organic notes. Moving ahead, I've written that keep adding current affairs, new concepts, etc. to your notes. Do not be shy of writing a lot of new things in a note, but do not overload it too. Okay, because you should write only the things that you can reproduce in the exam. So if you're reading some current affairs, for example, if I'm reading something about age of marriage law, So I'm going to go to my society notes static, where something related to that is written, and then I have to add that current affair on that static note, so that when I'm revising society the next time, I can actually recall it very effectively of age of marriage issue that has been going on, what are the advantages, what are disadvantages of that, and I can reproduce it in my answer. I hope you understood what I'm trying to say. Moving ahead, I also made certain online notes, and I use app like OneNote, Evernote, etc. There are so many apps that you can use, because these notes are something that are easy to edit. They're easy to carry also. If you're going somewhere else, you can just carry your phone or tab. If you're traveling around, you can actually revise it on your OneNote. So I had a lot of notes made on OneNote also, just for the purpose for being able to revise when I'm traveling in a metro, when I'm traveling in a train, when I'm taking a flight, for example, even when I'm in the washroom, etc. So these notes are going to help you because they are more editable, they are easy to carry, and you can access them wherever and whenever you want to. Okay. Imad, if you can put your query in the doubt section also, I'm going to take these answers very soon. I'm going to take these questions. Thanks a lot. Moving ahead. Um, so when and how to start making notes? As you can see, Ross has been a character which he falls into problems often, and really serious life problems. So if I'll keep talking about what notes, why notes, when to make notes, you will not know about when and how to make notes. And this is one of the basic problems that people face of when to make notes. So I'm going to stick to UPSC right now. I'm going to talk about the prelims and the mains exam, and I'm going to talk about how to make notes and when to start making notes. Also, he's one of my Amol. He's also one of my most favorite character in Friends. I have some more characters coming up for you in the PPT. I hope that will be nice. So, as Ross is saying, when and how to start making notes. So when I consider prelims, I would just say no need to make notes of basic books. Okay, आपको basic books के notes बनाना जरूरी नहीं है. That means I'm talking about books like Lakshmikant. I'm talking about books like Spectrum. I'm talking about books like NCRTs of history, of geography, etc. Please, I think you do not have to make notes of these basic sources, because almost everything written in these sources are important. ठीक है, आप जो भी चीजें इन सोर्सेज में लिख रहे हैं वो जरूरी हैं. तो इसका मतलब है कि आप इन बेसिक सोर्सेज के अगर नोट्स बनाएंगे, इट विल जस्ट बी अ रेप्लिका ऑफ द बुक इन योर नोट्स. सो दिस इज लाइक अ वेस्टेज ऑफ योर टाइम. सो इनको टैकल कैसे करना है? स्क्रिबल योर नोट्स ऑन द बुक इटसेल्फ टू फास्टन द further revisions. And I have very descriptively shown you in the further next PPT of what I'm talking about. आप बेसिक बुक्स पढ़िए, आप एक रीडिंग लगाइए, आप दो रीडिंग लगाइए, आप तीन रीडिंग लगाइए, एंड देन व्हेन यू फील लाइक यू नो व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट, व्हेन यू हैव read the previous year questions, when you have gone through the prelims paper, when you have gone through the mains paper, you will realize that there are certain things that are really important. They are repeatedly being asked. So now in the fourth reading, you can scribble your notes in the book itself. You don't have to make separate notes for the basic books. And this really helped me in the further revisions, because there came a time when I could revise the entire Lakshmikant in just 6 hours, just by reading everything that I have scribbled on the pages of Lakshmikant, because those scribbles are like the summary of the entire page. So this is a good add-on for anyone who's having a problem reading from the basic sources. That do I have to make notes of basic sources also? I think it's a very nice practice to make notes on the book itself, so that further revisions becomes easier, and you don't keep on writing and keep on compiling so many notes that you cannot revise. I'll just give you some example of what I mean. If you can see in this image, this is my Lakshmikant, which I have read, and this is the topic of Panchayati Raj. A lot of you who are preparing for UPSC are very familiar with this page. So look at this. What I did in Panchayati Raj, I've read it twice, thrice, etc., and then I understood what is the content that is very important for me to replicate in the exam. What is the static content that is so important for me to revise from this chapter? I have scribbled it right then and there. I've written about local government. I've written about 7th schedule. I've written about what are what is the concept of 3-tier government. Okay, I've written about constitutional committees, like LM Singhvi committee, like Thungon committee, like Gadgil committee, right there on the top of the book. So you can use this strategy. I have given you an example of exactly what I mean by scribbling on the basic sources. I've even written about 73rd Amendment Act of 1992. I've written about Part 9. What are the articles that were changed? What were the basic ideas of these committees that were finally implemented in the 73rd Amendment Act? What are the two-tier government? How is the municipal government works? So a lot of content is actually covered in just this much amount of section of your book. So another point of why it helps you so much is that there will be content in these basic books that you will never forget. Okay, when you have read it twice, thrice, 4 times, you'll not forget about fundamental rights. So you don't have to write those notes of fundamental rights on the book, but write the content that you think you can forget easily. For example, the 3 different tiers, the name of the committees, etc., was something that I felt like I can forget. So I just put it, I scribbled it on the top of book, as you can see. Moving ahead, I am writing about prelims. You can make certain notes for off topics, okay, like ancient history, medieval history, art and culture, economy, concept, etc. So because when I'm talking about the prelims, there's certain topics which are not so easy to read from the book over and over again. For example, for ancient history, if I am reading R. Sharma NCERT, if for medieval history, if I'm reading Satish Chandra book, then it's become so taxing to read that book over and over again, and it's not easy to recall from those sources as well. So what I'm trying to say is there are certain topics which you think are tough to revise from. You can make your own notes, very crisp notes about the terms that are being asked, about the timeline that is being asked, etc. in your copy. Okay, for example, I'll just show you an example of mains of topic note that I made. This is an example of the global framework of disaster resilience. You will study about disaster management, and I've made some off topic notes like this about the Sendai framework, about different points that were there in the Hugo framework, etc. Because I just felt like if I'm reading only from the basic sources, I cannot recall this. Again, this is a very subjective thing, that you may find certain topic as off topic and I may not. Maybe there's someone who's amazing in ancient and medieval history and they don't have to make the notes for that. So this depends completely on you, of what you think are off topics and what are the basic books you think you cannot revise again. So you can just make certain your own notes, very crisp notes for that topic, even from the prelims perspective. All right, moving ahead. No need to make notes from newspapers, current affairs separately. This is again from my own experience. If I start writing the current affairs notes again and again, then this will just waste my time, and I'll have humongous amount of content in my notes that is just written from the newspapers that I may not be able to use going ahead. Okay, so what I just want to say is, if you're reading current affairs compilations, if you're reading newspapers, I would strongly recommend you to read the newspaper. Do not make separate notes for them. If you're reading current affairs and newspapers, and if you think there's something that is important for you to recall or remember, pick up that topic, go to your static notes which you are making syllabus wise for GS or optional or anything. Just go and add that current affair then and there. Or another option is to make online notes of newspapers or current affairs. Or the third option is you can actually scribble the current affair notes on the compilation itself. So it completely depends on you. My only advice is, if please avoid making a separate copy or separate notebook for your current affairs notes separately, because it's just going to increase your content humongously. And current affairs is something, it's a big ocean. You don't know what is going to ask. But if you feel like there's something relevant coming, for example, if there's something coming related to age of marriage bill, for example, again, you don't write it separately. You go take that content and write it in your society notes, add there only. That is what I mean from organic notes. So add your current affairs notes to your static, because even in mains, no question is going to be based on current affairs directly. It's going to be based on the static content on which you have to add current affairs. ठीक है, मेंस में भी ऐसा कंटेंट आएगा जो स्टैटिक होगा, आपको करंट अफेयर्स को ऐड करना पड़ेगा उस पर. तो अगर ये प्रैक्टिस आप अभी से स्टार्ट करें कि आप न्यूज़पेपर या करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ रहे हैं, वहां से आप कंटेंट उठाकर अपने नोट्स में डालें. सो दिस इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू अ लॉट. मूविंग अहेड, स्क्रिबल इंपॉर्टेंट नोट्स ऑन मॉक टेस्ट सॉल्यूशंस. ठीक है, तो अब आप प्रीलिम्स की तैयारी कर रहे हैं, आपने मॉक टेस्ट अटेम्प्ट करा है, और ये एक प्रैक्टिस आई हैव सीन दैट अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल डू नॉट टेक मॉक टेस्ट सॉल्यूशंस दैट सीरियसली. The only thing I want to say is, अगर आप mock test attempt कर रहे हैं, do not run behind attempting 100 mock tests, because आप 100 mock test में 1000 mistakes करेंगे, आपने उसका सोल्यूशन ही नहीं पढ़ा एंड आप वो मिस्टेक दोबारा से रिपीट कर सकते हैं. So to avoid repeating your mistakes, I would say stick to 30 to 40 mock tests, but read the solutions very well. And while reading the solutions, make sure that you don't have to read the entire solution again, and you have certain notes scribbled on the mock test solutions, which you can revisit again when you come back near the prelims. When the prelims is very near, you can come back to the mock test solution and revise those scribbled notes. I have an example to show you. Look at this. So this is from my one of the mock test solutions which I was reading, and I had marked this question wrong about the core industries of the core industry that are given in IIP. Okay, so what I did is I made some very crisp notes on my iPad itself. Now this is important, and I ranked these in form of 1, 2, 3, 4 because UPSC was asking these questions again and again. That arrange these in the order of increasing weightage. Okay, so I have just scribbled this. So now I don't have to read the entire content from the mock test solution. I can just read the scribbled part and I can revise these mock test solutions very effectively and quickly. I hope you understood this. This was not a problem. So this is what I note that what I mean from the point that you scribble the notes on a mock test solution so that when you revisit it, revising a mock test solutions is very important to fill in the loopholes to avoid repeating that mistakes over and over again. Okay. Moving ahead. Make some notes of tricks while analyzing previous year questions. So आप जब previous year questions को analyze कर रहे हैं तो आपको कुछ ना कुछ tricks पता लगने वाली हैं कि examiner mindset क्या है. If you want, I can make a separate video on the prelims PYQ tricks that I have compiled myself. But I would strongly recommend you to make a group of 2-3, come together, analyze the question and analyze of why certain question is right, why certain other question is wrong. Examiner किसी question को गलत frame कर रहा है, option को वो क्यों कर रहा है? Okay. For example, certain organizations are wrong, certain facts are wrong, positive worded statements are right. तो अब ये चीजें जब आप previous year questions को analyze करेंगे, when you're analyzing the previous year question, you will realize certain tricks like this, and I would strongly recommend you to make an exhaustive list of these tricks so that you don't forget them again. Because you cannot recall everything again and again, recall everything throughout while attempting the prelims paper. But if you have these tricks written somewhere, and it's going to be hardly 2 or 3 page notes, okay, of your tricks that you have developed yourself while analyzing the previous year questions, so that you do not repeat the mistakes again and you can solve the questions effectively. So this is another kind of notes that I made for prelims, that trick notes. While you are analyzing the previous year question, there are certain trick notes that you can use to recall the tricks effectively and to use them effectively in the prelims. Start making notes after 1 or 2 readings of your books. Nandita, I saw that you asked this questions. I hope I got your name right. That do I start making notes right from the first reading? I would strongly recommend you to start making your notes after your 2 or 3 readings, because once you have read your notes, basic books twice or thrice, and you've gone through the previous year questions, so and if you're gone through the previous year questions of prelims and mains, etc. Now you know which part is important and the kind of questions being asked. So in the next reading, you can relate to those kind of questions, and this is a good time to start making your notes. If you're making your notes in the very first reading, you will realize that you will find everything important because almost everything is new for you. Someone who doesn't know about fundamental rights will find them extremely important and will write them on his or her Lakshmikant. But moving ahead, he or she will realize that fundamental rights are so easy to remember. So this is not something that you will forget. So making notes out of it is not so useful. That is why I am just recommending you to please make notes after 1 or 2 readings of your basic content. So this is something that I wanted to point out regarding the notes of prelims exam. I hope this was helpful. I'll move ahead. Apurva will answer these questions towards the end of this. So as I showed you all these examples, I've finally let's come to when and how to start making notes from the mains general studies point of view. And the character, one of the very light character that we all have in Friends is Joey, and I've written Joey doesn't share notes. So this is something that I want to make a point through this meme, that please don't run after the notes of someone else. Don't ask someone else to give you their disaster notes. someone else to give you their option notes, because those notes are not going to help you. Okay. uh, the notes that are going to help you are the ones that you prepare yourself, that you read yourself and prepare yourself by spending a lot of time on your content. Because the notes that you write with your own hands, the short forms, the mnemonics that you develop, note making is not a task, it's a whole process. Okay, it's a whole process which help you grab your content in a better manner. नोट मेकिंग सिर्फ एक सोल्यूशन नहीं है, नोट मेकिंग एक प्रोसेस है, एक लर्निंग प्रोसेस है जो आप यूज करेंगे, उससे आपका कंटेंट बेटर होगा, आपके निमोनिक्स डेवलप होंगे, आपके डायग्राम्स डेवलप होंगे, आपके फ्लो चार्ट्स डेवलप होंगे. सो ये नोट्स आप किसी और से कर लेते हैं तो आई थिंक इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू हेल्प यू. क्या आपको ज्यादा हेल्प करेगा इज कि आप अपने नोट्स खुद बनाएं. सो जोई डजंट शेयर नोट्स. कमिंग बैक टू द मेन पीपीटी about general studies making notes. So my very first point is please make syllabus wise notes for each GS paper, preferably before prelims. So मैं I have reiterated this once. मैं फिर से कहूंगा कि आप जब prelims और mains को लेके जा रहे हैं तो prelims से पहले पहले please अपने mains के notes complete कर लें. Now what do I mean by mains GS notes? So there are some topics that are specifically asked in mains and they do not form the syllabus of prelims. For example, Indian society, social justice, international relations, disaster management, internal security. So I I really recommend you that before you are writing prelims, please get done with a static part of these notes. You can find it in a lot of coaching compilations and books that you can refer to, but please make these crisp notes well before prelims so that once you're done with prelims, you can go ahead and write your mock test after revising these notes effectively. Second point, it's extremely important to make static notes for topics like society, social justice, international relations, etc. I was talking about these topics right now because if you are just reading these topics from the basic sources and if you're not making static crisp notes of it, moving ahead, it will become a very tough task for you to consolidate your content and recall it and write it in your general studies paper. So all I want to say is it's extremely important to make notes of these topics. You can refer to several sources. I am going to list down my main sources very soon in a video. You can refer to other topper sources as well and Telegram channels as well. But please make your static notes of this section because it's going to be very helpful for you to recall and then reproduce in your mains. For example, this is an example from my notes. So I am making, I hope I made this point, syllabus wise notes. Yeah. So I made syllabus wise static notes. For example, there's a topic called major crops, cropping pattern in various parts of country. See it's written on the top with a red in a box. And see, I've written the page number also there. So this is a practice that I was talking about. I'm showing you the implementation of it. So please make these topic wise notes as it is mentioned in the general studies paper syllabus of your UPSC. Now I started writing about cropping pattern, the cropping system, significance, several flowcharts that I'm developing, the types of cropping, etc. So if you're making your notes according to your syllabus, according to the pointers or syllabus that are mentioned in your UPSC, that are mentioned by UPSC notification, you will find it easier to recall it and to connect it that from where the question is being asked, what do I have to write? So please make your please make your mains note according to this syllabus headings and not according to the subject, because syllabus headings are also grouped according to a subject. So just make your notes as per the syllabus heading so that you can connect it easily and it will be very helpful for you to recall this content when the question comes in front of you. All right. The next point, keep mains static notes crisp and add current affairs on it topic wise. Again, the concept of organic notes is back. Keep these notes of social justice, international relations, agriculture, internal security, society, etc. very crisp. And when you're reading a newspaper, when you're reading certain current affairs compilation, bring the content from there, write it on your notes so that the next time when you're revising your static notes, you can revise then and there what is the value addition content from the current affairs that you are referring to. For example, crisp notes with added current affairs. Look at the notes. I have written again the topic on the top, security challenges and management in the border areas. Okay. So this is one of the topics that that is written. That is actually mentioned by UPSC syllabus in internal security. Now look, the Indo-China border issue was going on. So I then and there I have added a map of POK, Siachen Glacier, Aksai Chin, and I'm sorry, and all the different friction points there. Deepsun, Galwan, etc., Pengyong, Pangong, so etc. So why did I do it? I was reading a basic static topic of border security challenges, and I found that there was one relevant current affair of India's friction with China, border issues with China going on. So I just realized that these two topics can be connected while reading the newspaper, and this exact map was actually given in Indian Express while the friction was going on. So I picked up that current affair and put it in my static notes then and there. So I just want you to show how to add the current affairs. If you don't have space there, you can actually add a stick-on notes over it and do it. What's the meaning of organic here? No, Alpha, that does not mean organic means that your notes are growing with your preparation. If you're reading certain current affairs, you're adding that current affairs over that note. I hope you're able to understand what I mean by organic notes. I mean that those notes are not something that are written once and are forgotten, and then come back and revise them. For UPSC, your notes has to grow with your preparation. For example, the border challenges was going on. I have written the static of it, but I've also mentioned the dynamic, the current affairs part of where the friction is going, and I've even drawn a map over it. I hope it's visible. Is this point clear now? That how to add your current affairs over your notes. All right. The next point. No need to make notes from newspaper current affairs separately. Again, the same point that I was making while talking about the prelims exam, that you don't have to make a separate notebook for your current affairs or newspaper notes. You can just pick up those current affairs and put them right on top of the static notes where you're making. That will make your notes grow with your preparation. The second one is the next point: solve previous year questions and add leftover topics to your notes. So once you're already done with the basic content of your notes for your general studies, you've made the notes according to a syllabus as I've already shown you. The next point is you go through the previous year question at least after 2014 till 2022 or 23, whatever the attempt you're giving, and you recognize the parts that you have left. Because if you're analyzing or if you're seeing the questions from UPSC for the last 4 or 5 years, you will realize that it almost covers the entire syllabus. And if there's something missing, then you can fill up those loopholes in your notes by connecting them to the previous year questions. So if you're analyzing the previous year questions well, you're listing down the topics that you have missed, you can just come and read on those topics and add them to your notes. That is why I told you to make your notes on loose A4 sheet, so that if there's some topic that is missing from the same subject, you can grab another sheet, you can write the notes of that topic, and you can add it on the notebook itself then and there. So notes are not do not become a loose a group of loose papers, but you can actually put them at the same place in the file. So previous year questions are going to help you to signal and to detect where exactly is the problem, what are the topics that you have missed while making your notes, and it will make your notes more effective and less number of loopholes are present there. And whoever has a doubt, please list it down in the doubt section. I'm going to take all the questions towards the uh, end of this class. These doubts can be about note picking or can be about preparation in general. So I'm going to address them separately. The next point: have sets of micro notes for your notes to revise at the end. So what are the notes of notes? So this is one practice that I have followed. So once I was done with my basic notes, with my basic static notes, what I did was, towards the end, I used to read those notes again and make further short notes from it or micro notes from it, so that if I have to revise very quickly, I can just go to the micro notes and I can revise all these solutions from the micro notes and all this content from the micro notes, and I can reproduce it accordingly. This is going to be of immense help when your mains week is going on or when prelims is approaching. Micro notes is something that is going to help you to revise everything very quickly. I'll just very quickly show you the example of what I mean by micro notes. So this is the value addition content from the notes that I was talking about. This one. So value addition that I was talking about was about the current affairs. Very soon I have certain slides which will show you what exactly do I mean by micro notes. So develop this practice to make notes from the notes when you have read your notes more than 4 or 5 times, so that the smaller notes are going to help you revise quickly just before the exam or just in the week of exam. and also decreases your anxiety that now I don't have to revise 100 pages. I can just revise the entire subject in 10 to 15 pages. Okay, so micro notes are going to help you in that. Yes, Nandita, you will miss certain points in the micro notes. But what I'm saying is, after you have read your notes 5 times, again there will be something that you will not forget, and there will be something that you can forget, like data, like facts, like tables, like diagrams. So you just put those things in your micro notes, or just put the cues. Sometimes your brain does not need to read everything; it just needs cues. For example, type of agriculture pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you don't have to write everything in detail there. You can just list down the 5 different types. Your brain, your eyes see it, and you can recall, and you can close your eyes and recall everything that is given in that topic. So this is what I mean by the micronotes. I'll show you the example very soon. Next point, you collect example, case studies, diagrams, data, cases, etc. in your notes. Now this is the value addition content that is very important for GS paper 1, 2, and 3. You have to collect the example, case studies, diagrams, data, etc. at the same point where you are making your static notes, because this is the content that is going to give you 1 or 1.5 extra mark for each question, that is going to make a huge difference in your rank, your service, and your result. So I would strongly recommend to please collect these example, case studies, and diagrams, data, etc. on your notes itself. Again, coming back to the question, coming back to topic of organic notes, you can just collect these things and put it exactly there to make your notes more effective. So I've shown you all this example already. Next, I'll just take a moment to have a sip of water, and I can start with how I made my notes for optional subject. Okay. Raja, I've already given an example of age of marriage bill. For example, they're coming in current affairs. Now you relate it to marriage topic in your society, GS paper 1. So that's how you relate current affairs with your static. Moving ahead, when and how to start making notes, mains optional. It was, for me, it was anthropology, but I feel like the points that I have listed apply uniformly to all the optional subjects that I'm going to talk about, and you can take some cues or some help from this section as well. The very first thing, make syllabus wise notes for each optional paper, preferably before prelims. Again, I would strongly recommend you do not go above. I hope like plan your attempt in a way कि जब आप prelims देने जाने वाले हैं तब तक आपका मेंस का notes as well as optional का notes ready है. आपने शायद याद नहीं करा है तब तक, but your content is ready so that when you finally go for your mains examination, for your optional mains preparation, you can just revise those notes and you can move ahead and start attempting mock test. So what is syllabus wise notes? So you make different notes for paper 1 and paper 2. Within paper 1, paper 2, there are different chapters given in both all the optional subject. So make your notes as per the syllabus. So that again, this is going to help you to recall well. You'll understand from where this question is being asked, and you can just go back in your brain to your syllabus point and to the point in the notebook where you're making the notes for that specific topic. I'll just do an example of what I mean by this. This is from my notebook of anthropology paper 1. I have listed down my syllabus point as 6H, symbolic and interpretive theories. And within that, see, I'm also, this is the next point that I wanted to talk about, that I make PYQ based notes. Like I made my notes in question and answer format based on the previous year question. So this is from this slide, I want to show you two examples. The first one, making the notes topic wise. Okay. Like 6H, symbolic interpretive theories I've written. I've then listed down a previous year question. Write a short note on symbolic and interpretive theories in anthropology. I have written which year it was asked in, 1999, 2001, 2007. How many marks? 20 marks. So I've written the content then and there. Okay. Victor Turner, Clifford Geertz, etc. All these scholars, if you're from anthropology, you will understand what I'm talking about. But it applies to all the optional subjects. Okay. So I made my notes in the question and answer format because it helped me to develop answer writing skills while making my notes too. Secondly, I made my notes according to the syllabus because these kind of notes help me to connect and recall well when the certain question is asked from certain part of the syllabus. Moving ahead, focus on syllabus and previous year question while making notes. So once you've read the basic content of your optional subject, once you've read the basic books, please go back to your syllabus and keep your previous year questions. For each and every optional, you will find a lot of compilation in market, which are actually giving you the previous year question according to the paper, according to the topic. Okay. So you buy those compilations. Once you're done reading the basic sources, you go back to the previous year question. आप previous year question देखिए और देखिए कि किस तरह के questions पूछ रहे हैं, और उन क्वेश्चंस के अकॉर्डिंग, उस सिलेबस के अकॉर्डिंग अपनी सेकंड या थर्ड रीडिंग में आप नोट्स बनाना स्टार्ट किए, जैसे मैंने बनाए इस स्लाइड में। ठीक है, आपको पता है कोई क्वेश्चन कई बार रिपीट हो चुका है, वो क्वेश्चन इंपॉर्टेंट है, आप उसको पढ़िए, अपने बेसिक सोर्सेज पे जाइए, वहां से आप अपना आंसर राइटिंग डेवलप करिए और अपने नोट्स क्वेश्चन आंसर फॉर्मेट में बनाए जा सकते हैं, जैसे मैंने बना के दिखाया आपको इस स्लाइड में। ऑलराइट, तो expand, read from basic books at least twice and then start making notes. For all the option, I would say it's very important to actually get accustomed into the subject, to उस subject के feel में आना जरूरी है। Once you're in the feel of that subject, you can start making notes of it by keeping the syllabus and previous year question in front of you, so that you know which part is important, what is being asked, what are the kind of questions are being asked, so that you are putting your notes in the same perspective as it is being asked in your optional exam. Second one, I made my I made my notes in the question and answer format, as I've already told you, shown you in this PPT based on previous year question. Next one, keep your notes organic and keep adding content to it. Again, the same point. These notes are not one point solution to you. They are going to grow as you read more, as you prepare more. So, for example, if there's something coming in the current affairs related to your optional syllabus, so you just don't related to optional syllabus, you just don't ignore it altogether, क्योंकि आप रिकॉल नहीं कर पाएंगे उसको. So what you do is कि आप उस content को उठाएंगे and you'll put it on the static topic exactly where this content is relevant. क्योंकि current affairs को अगर आप कोड करते हैं अपने optional के एग्जाम में, हमेशा rewarding होता है. It's going to help you a lot to fetch those 2-3 brownie points or brownie marks, and it's going to make a huge difference towards the end. I'll show you what I mean by keeping your optional notes organic. Look at this. So these are from my notes. I am talking about immunogenetics in my anthropology syllabus, written question number 261 about immunogenetics. And I was reading about COVID-19 in the Hindu Science page, and there was a news about genetic basis of immune response to COVID-19. So I have written, it was published in Nature, and what are details of it, so that if the question was asked on immunogenetics in my exam, I would straight away list, or in the current relevance, I will talk about COVID-19 and the importance of immunogenetics in it. So if I have just read it in the newspaper and if I had not put it on the place of immunogenetics notes which I have prepared, so I used to use these clip-on notes. I have kept it here. You can also buy these clip-on notes. Okay, they are very nice. The same notes I've stuck on my notes, that you can just write the content on it and you can put it on your notes and staple it then and there. Okay. Sticky notes. I'm so sorry, Ayushi. Sticky notes. So you can use these sticky notes, and it's going to help you to connect the current affairs to your static part, and it will help you to report this content and write and recall it when you're writing your mains exam. I hope this point was really clear. You can actually use this concept even in general studies paper as well. So sticky notes are really helpful to make your notes organic if you're making offline notes. Okay, moving ahead. Make separate notes based on test series solutions and discussions. So when you are actually solving the test series for an optional subject, so you always find some topics that you have not read well, and when you read the solutions or when you attend the test series discussion class, you find that those topics are relevant and there's content that you can use in those topics. So for me, both for prelims and mains, writing the test series was as important as reading the solutions of that test series, because just writing test series and not collecting the relevant material from it does not help you. So for all of the subject, I would strongly recommend you, there's something in the test series or anything in the PYQ that you think you have not covered, make a separate notebook of it. Just write those content in that, so that towards the end, when you have already revised the static syllabus, you can also plug in the loopholes and revise this test series solution content towards the end of your preparation. Okay, moving ahead. You can have sets of micro notes for your notes to revise at the end. Again, I'm talking about the same thing. Ayushi, yes, exactly. This is what I mean. यूज टेस्ट सीरीज एज द वैल्यू एडिशन कंटेंट। आप टेस्ट सीरीज लिख रहे हैं ऑप्शनल की, तो उसमें ऐसे टॉपिक्स आने वाले हैं, ऐसे एग्जाम्पल आने वाले हैं जो कि आपके जो भी मेंटोर हैं, जो भी टीचर हैं, वो आपको देने वाले हैं। कुछ टॉपिक्स ऐसे होंगे जो आपने पढ़े ही नहीं होंगे। देयर विल बी सम क्वेश्चंस, 10 मार्कर्स क्वेश्चन यूजुअली होते हैं जो आपने नहीं पढ़े होंगे। सो अगर आप उन 10 मार्कर क्वेश्चंस की मैं बात करूं, तो उन क्वेश्चंस को आप एज अ वैल्यू एडिशन कंटेंट यूज कर सकते हो अपने ऑप्शनल नोट पे ऐड करने के लिए। ओके, सो ये टेस्ट सीरीज सॉल्यूशंस जो हैं, यू कैन यूज देम एंड यू कैन एक्चुअली मेक अ सेपरेट नोटबुक फॉर देम, सो दैट इस कंटेंट को आप वैल्यू एडिशन की तरह भी इस्तेमाल कर सकते हो अपने बेसिक कंटेंट, स्टैटिक कंटेंट के लिए, बिकॉज this kind of approach is going to help you to make the best use of test series. Test series is important to actually practice in the maze condition, but it's also important to plug in the loopholes of your preparation, to revise the topic that you are weak on, to revise the content, to add value to your content. So test series के आप solutions जब देखते हैं, चाहे आप mock solutions पढ़ रहे हैं या फिर आप कोई classes attend कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, so उन test series solutions के लिए आप उनसे कंटेंट उठा के अपने अलग नोट्स बनाएं या फिर अपने नोट्स पे और ऐड कर दें। दैट इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू। Other point is have a set of micro notes for your notes to revise at the end. So this is same point that I was making in the GS paper कि अगर आप अपने नोट्स से और नोट्स बनाते हैं towards to revise it towards the end. So these kind of micro notes are going to really help you in sense कि आप ऑप्शनल जो वीक होगा उसमें कितना ज्यादा रिविजन्स कर पाते हैं, वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होता है। क्योंकि आप जब यू रियलाइज कि जब मेंस आने वाला होता है तो लास्ट के 15 डेज हम लोग सिर्फ जीएस पढ़ रहे होते हैं, वी आर जस्ट रिवाइजिंग जीएस एंड एसए, and then we lose the knack of optional subject. And right after writing the GS4 paper, I have just 5 days to revise my optional subject. So if you have some micro notes available, this will help you to revise the entire subject or topic in a very short period of time. I'll show you an example of what I mean by micro notes. Look at these notes. Now these notes may not make a very much sense to you, but they make all the world sense to me. See, I've covered the entire chapter 7 in this much amount of A4 size paper. I've written about language, I've written about the scholar name, I've written the definition, the types of language, origin of language, different theories on language, what are the different non-verbal communication, etc. So this is what I mean, and can you see I've used the different color highlighters also in this. So now why am I doing this? When I want to revise only the example, I will just look for blue points. Okay, yes Krishna, you can actually take notes from your toppers notes. It's very good to take to see the toppers note and add content to your own notes. So if I just have to read the examples part, I will just look for blue points on my notes, and I can go through all the examples because I have marked all the examples in blue, examples and case studies. Okay, if I just want to go through the scholar's name, I have underlined those scholars' name everywhere. Okay, so this is a micro note that I'm going to talk about. It's going to take a lot of effort for you also, but imagine being able to cover the entire chapter of your optional in just this much amount of content. And this is very important for CSAT also. You can make some micro notes about the formula sheets that you can use. Okay, so this is the concept of micro note that I want to tell you, that you can make notes from your own notes, because these kind of notes are going to help you to revise your entire subject in a very short amount of time towards the end. I hope this was helpful. Moving ahead. Again, collect example, case studies, diagrams, and data in your notes, because this is going to help you to make your content more organic, and also to report a good value addition content in your answers. All right. So this is the last section of my note making strategy video that I wanted to tell you, that now I've talked about how to make notes for prelims, how to make notes for mains, general studies, how to make notes for optional. And I've talked about the different techniques, basics of making notes. I've given you many examples from my own notes. Now I want to talk about what are different type of notes that you can use. So जितनी टेक्निक्स अभी डिस्कस करी थी, जरूरी नहीं है कि उन टेक्निक्स को आप एक पेन और पेपर पे अप्लाई करें. मैंने पेन एंड पेपर पे अप्लाई किया था मोस्टली, बट सम पीपल आल्सो हैव डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ नोट्स लाइक ऑनलाइन नोट्स ऑन वन नोट, एवर नोट, एटसेट्रा, जो हम बनाते हैं. So this PPT again is one of my most favorite characters from Friends saying, "Oh my God," because maybe a lot of you will not know कि इतनी तरह के notes भी बनाए जा सकते हैं. Notes एक तरह के नहीं होते हैं. It depends upon the kind of use you're going to put your notes to. तो different kind of notes कैसे होते हैं? Offline notes होते हैं. We have offline note that I've already discussed about prelims, mains, GS 1 2 3 4, static and optional. तो offline notes मैंने बनाए थे for a lot of topics, but it was not somewhere where I stopped. मैं सिर्फ ऑफलाइन नोट्स नहीं बनाया था, मैंने ऑनलाइन नोट्स भी बनाए थे, मैंने ग्रुप नोट्स भी बनाए थे, मैंने माइक्रो नोट्स भी बनाए थे, as I've already showed you. Okay. So offline notes can be one of the way to go ahead with you for you if you think कि कोई टॉपिक ऐसा है जहाँ पे ऑफलाइन नोट्स बनाना जरूरी है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ऑप्शनल के लिए जरूरी आई थिंक होता है ऑफलाइन नोट्स बनाना, बिकॉज इट्स नॉट सो इजी टू टाइप सो मच, एंड इफ यू गेट अकस्टम टू टाइपिंग तो आप राइटिंग को आदत नहीं पड़ पाएगी आपको. तो ऑफलाइन नोट्स एक इस रिस्पेक्ट में एक अच्छा आइडिया होता है कि ऑफलाइन नोट्स विल ऑलवेज हेल्प यू टू keep practicing the writing, because writing is very important, because this is what you're going to do in your UPSC mains examination. So मैंने ऑफलाइन नोट्स बनाए थे प्रीलिम्स के लिए, मेंस जीएस 1 2 3 4 की डेफिनेशन के लिए, स्टैटिक पार्ट के लिए और ऑप्शनल के लिए. सो आप भी इसको बना सकते हैं, बिकॉज आपका हाथ अकस्टम होना चाहिए एक ऑफलाइन पेन एंड पेपर इकोसिस्टम में. ओके, द नेक्स्ट वन ऑनलाइन नोट्स या फिर सॉफ्ट नोट्स क्या होता है, एंड व्हाई आर दे हेल्पफुल. So there are different apps like OneNote, Evernote, etc. that you can use to make online notes. So why online notes are important? मैंने already discuss किया था कि they are easy to carry wherever you want to go. आप जो चाहे वो carry कर सकते हैं, कहीं भी ले जा सकते हैं उनको. Secondly, easy to edit. आप उसको edit कर सकते हैं. Thirdly, towards the end of your preparation, if you're done with your notes, आप उनका print out ले सकते हैं. तो वही online notes आपके offline notes बन जाते हैं. Fourthly, it is very nice way to make group notes. The point I'm going to come across very soon. Okay, तो मैंने किस के लिए यूज किया ऑनलाइन नोट्स? मैंने वन नोट पे यूज किया है GS4 कंटेंट बनाने के लिए. मैंने टॉपिक वाइज केसेस जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के, हाई कोर्ट के केसेस होते हैं, उनको मैंने ऑनलाइन नोट्स में ही लिखा था. टॉपिक वाइज केस स्टडीज आई हैव रिटन फॉर इट. पर्सनालिटी टेस्ट के नोट्स, आई हैव इवन मेड नोट्स फॉर पर्सनालिटी टेस्ट फॉर डिफरेंट टॉपिक्स, एंड दोज नोट्स वर आल्सो ऑनलाइन. व्हाई? Again, because I was traveling to give mock tests here and there. I was going from Aligarh to Delhi, so it was not possible for me to carry my offline notes, so I used to carry my online notes. So इस तरह से आप अपनी नीड के हिसाब से अपने नोट्स को डेवलप करिए. आपको लगता है कि कुछ नोट्स होंगे जो आपको लेके ट्रैवल करना पड़ेगा, प्लीज ऑनलाइन नोट्स बनाइए. सम अदर नोट्स यू थिंक इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट टू गेट अकस्टम टू राइटिंग ऑन द पेन एंड पेपर इकोसिस्टम, उसके ऑफलाइन नोट्स बनाइए. तो मैंने ऑनलाइन नोट्स और सॉफ्ट नोट इसलिए बनाए थे. आई विल गिव यू सम एग्जांपल ऑफ इट. सो ये मेरे वन नोट से ही एक स्क्रीनशॉट है, in which look how I have divided these notes in the different notebook. Anthropology, interview UPSC 21, Mains 2022, GS4, मन की बात, interview UPSC 2022, interview 2022, LAMP scholarship. So all my notes which I thought कि मैं लेके ट्रैवल करना चाहिए, the notes जो मुझे लगता है डेवलप होते रहेंगे, उनको मैंने ऐसे ऑनलाइन फॉर्मेट में बनाया. उसके अंदर ही नोटबुक के अंदर I have GS1 योजना नोट्स, GS2 नोट, GS3, GS4 essay, data and facts from A365, GS2 D-Day notes. उसके अंदर भी I have topics, example, excerpts and ideas and theories for essay. And look how I've written it. Okay, use highlighters, use all of those techniques to make your notes more organic. Okay, so this is another thing that is going to help you. Moving ahead, I just want to tell you about. Okay, so this is the example of organic notes or online notes that I've used. You can also divide your notes into different notebooks, further into different topics, further into different examples. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Moving ahead. What are the group notes? So is it good to study in a group? So मैंने क्या किया था कि जब मेरे GS4 में मार्क्स नहीं आए थे 2021 में, so me, Dwij Goyal, rank 71, and Subrato Sharma, rank 358, my very good friends, we sat together and we solved all the GS4 previous year questions. Okay, हमने GS4 previous year questions सारे solve करे और उन previous year questions के notes हमने group notes बनाए online. So वन नोट में क्या होता है ना, एक ऑप्शन होता है that you can make a shared notebook. Such a nice option. Me, Dwij and Subruto were sitting in 3 different cities. Still we were able to make common notes and use them. So online notes are also very helpful if you want to make group notes with certain number of people, serious friends that you're preparing with. Because मेरे केस में बहुत हेल्प हुआ था मुझे डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव्स लेने में ऑन माय एथिक्स प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन, हर क्वेश्चन को डिफरेंट डायमेंशंस देने में, हर क्वेश्चन के लिए अच्छे एग्जांपल्स, अच्छे केस स्टडीज कलेक्ट करने के लिए. सो इसे हम ग्रुप नोट्स की मैंने बात करी कि आप 3-4 लोग मिलके, ठीक है, टॉपिक्स जैसे एसए हो गया, जैसे GS4 हो गया, ठीक है, जैसे आपका ऑप्शनल हो गया, अगर आपका कॉमन ऑप्शनल है तो वो हो गया, आप साथ बैठ के गूगल मीट पे यू कैन डिस्कस प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस, और जो भी यहाँ से डिस्कशन से जो आपका आउटकम निकल रहा है उसको आप एक ऑनलाइन फॉर्मेट में ग्रुप नोट्स की तरह बना सकते हैं. ठीक है. सो एक ग्रुप नोट्स जो होंगे वो एक शेयर्ड नोटबुक होगी जो आपके फ्रेंड्स एक्सेस कर पाएंगे, और उसी नोट्स में दे कैन ऑल ऐड योर देयर ओन कंटेंट, एंड ईच ऑफ यू कैन हाईलाइट फ्रॉम अ डिफरेंट कलर ऑफ द कंटेंट जो आप यूज करने वाले हैं. टू टेल यू मोर अबाउट ग्रुप नोट्स, I'll just show you an example. So ये हमारी शेयर्ड नोटबुक है GS4 की, जो मैंने प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करे हैं, मैंने, शुभतोष और द्विज ने, फ्रॉम 2014 टू 2020, 13 टू 2020, 21 टू का एग्जाम ने दिया था 21. सो आप देखेंगे, देखिए इस नोट्स में कितना सारा कंटेंट है, ऑल द डिफरेंट वैल्यूज आर लिस्टेड, ऑल द डिफरेंट डायमेंशंस आर लिस्टेड, सो मेनी एग्जांपल्स आर लिस्टेड, सो मेनी कोटेशंस आर लिस्टेड. ओके, सो ये आप अगर देखेंगे तो डिफरेंट लोग जो होंगे उनके डिफरेंट एक्सपीरियंसेस होते हैं, दे ब्रिंग इन देयर ओन पर्सपेक्टिव्स टू द क्वेश्चन, एंड आपका क्वेश्चन बहुत डाइवर्स बन जाता है. सो आप ऑनलाइन नोट्स को इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. यू कैन यूज दिस ऑनलाइन नोट्स टू मेक सर्टेन शेयर्ड नोटबुक्स like the one I am showing you, and you can highlight it from different colors, so that if I am Asad, I am going to use the content highlighted in yellow. Okay, Dwej is, for example, using the content highlighted in pink. Subrutosh is using the content highlighted in blue. So all of these things that I have shown you is going to help you to use the group notes in a very holistic manner. All right, so this is the concept of group notes that I wanted to discuss with you. Last thing that I already discussed about micro notes for D-Day. अब ये माइक्रो नोट्स मैंने आपको ऑलरेडी ऑप्शनल के माइक्रो नोट्स के बारे में बता दिया था. आई एम टेकिंग दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी टू शो यू व्हाट आर द माइक्रो नोट्स फॉर जनरल स्टडीज पेपर. ठीक है, फैक्ट्स, डेटा, डायग्राम्स क्या होंगे. ठीक है. सो माइक्रो नोट्स अगर जीएस पेपर की बात करें तो जीएस पेपर में आपने ऑलरेडी स्टैटिक नोट्स बना लिए, यू ऑलरेडी मेड स्टैटिक नोट्स इन द जीएस पेपर. नाउ you want to make certain notes that you can use when the mains is coming. You can use them to revise your data between prelims and mains. Okay, you can use them to revise your data, fact, reports, your diagrams between your GS papers. अब एक GS पेपर हो गया, उसके बीच में आपके पास 2 घंटे गैप है दूसरे GS पेपर के लिए, और उनके बीच में अगर आप कुछ रिवाइज करना है तो आप वो फैक्ट्स, डेटा शीट्स, एग्जाम्पल कंपाइलेशंस और डायग्राम्स को यूज कर सकते हैं रिवाइज करने के लिए. ठीक है, एंड वो आप एक जगह लिखेंगे, बिकॉज सी दैट इज द कंटेंट दैट इज गोइंग टू मेक योर आंसर डिफरेंट. ठीक है, वो कंटेंट आपके आंसर्स को डिफरेंट बनाएगा. व्हेन डिड आई मेक माय माइक्रो नोट्स? राज एकदम एंड में बनाया था, जब प्रीलिम्स के बाद हमारा मेंस आने वाला था, तब मैंने माइक्रो नोट्स बनाए थे. व्हेन आई वाज सो थॉरो विद माय मेंस नोट्स, तो मैंने माइक्रो नोट्स एंथ्रो के लिए भी बहुत एंड में बनाए थे, जब मेरे मेन अपना बेसिक कंटेंट बहुत अच्छे से मुझे याद हो गया था. ठीक है, तो व्हाट आई मीन बाय माइक्रो नोट्स फॉर डेटा, डायग्राम एटसेट्रा. सो जैसे ये नोट्स हैं, ठीक है, मैंने ऑल्सो आई एम गोइंग टू शेयर सम ऑफ माय नोट्स ऑन माय टेलीग्राम चैनल फ्रॉम माइक्रो नोट्स वेरी सून. जैसे ये नोट्स हैं, इट्स अबाउट डेटा एंड रिपोर्ट्स फॉर GS3. So now look at this. I'm just listing down a lot of examples, graphs, data, different case studies about AI, air pollution, AMR, WHO report, etc. Because I was revising this content just between the 2 papers. ये content मैं 2 papers के बीच में revise कर रहा था. Okay. How many times I revised in macro notes? Probably 5-6 times. After that, please put your questions in the doubt section. I am just coming toward the section where I'm answering all your questions. So this is the concept of micro notes that I meant for the D-Day. कि आपको GS2 पेपर हो गया है, आप GS3 लिखने जा रहे हैं, तो 5 पेज आप क्या रिवाइज करेंगे, वो पेज कुछ ऐसे लगने चाहिए आपके, जिसमें आपका डेटा है, रिपोर्ट्स हैं, ग्राफ्स हैं. अब मैंने देखिए ग्राफ को ग्राफ फॉर्मेट में बनाया, बिकॉज ये ग्राफ एग्जैक्टली मैं GS पेपर में बनाने वाला हूँ. ठीक है, तो जो चीज आप लास्ट में रिवाइज करके जाएंगे, you can actually reproduce it very well finally in your paper. तो आप इसमें डायग्राम्स बनाइए, आप इसमें नए नए एग्जाम्पल लिखिए, आप इसमें नए नए केस स्टडीज लिस्ट डाउन करिए, आप ग्राफ्स बनाइए, डेटा लिखिए, ठीक है। सो ये these kind of things are going to help you to write a better answer. It's not easy to write a very good answer with all this data, all this diagram, etc. अगर आपने ये अलग अलग जगह पढ़ा होगा। So ये माइक्रो नोट्स हर जीएस के लिए आप बना सकते हैं, स्पेशली फॉर जीएस 2 and 3 इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू कोट अ लॉट ऑफ डेटा, टू कोट अ लॉट ऑफ रिपोर्ट्स, टू मेक गुड एग्जांपल्स। तो उनके लिए आप इस तरह से कुछ बनाइए, ठीक, बिकॉज दिस इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू। Yeah, so this was in short. I've told you about what are the micro notes for D-Day, about online group notes, about online soft notes, and offline notes. So this is what I wanted to discuss about note making today. I hope it was very relevant and helpful to you. Uh, about the micro notes, about the macro notes, about revising the static sources, prelims, mains, interview, etc. I hope this was a little helpful to you because I tried covering everything in this topic. This is me signing off from this class. I hope this will going to help you um, to to arrange your own notes in a better possible manner. It will help you to make certain kind of micro notes that you can read towards the end. I am so happy that you're writing thank you today, that I have put in a lot of effort to make this class for you. And I wish you the best. And I hope that, this preparation is going to be as fun for you as it was for me. Keep watching different amazing TV shows like Friends, like Game of Thrones, like Seinfeld, etc. Just keep the clock ticking, keep working hard, keep the consistency going. Thank you so much for joining this class. I'll be back very soon with the essay strategy, and I'll update that to you on my Telegram channel. Thanks a lot, and this is me signing off. All the very best. Thank you. Bye bye.